And I said, what about Christmas at Tiffany's? He said, I think I remember that episode. And as I recall, I think you'd really kind of like it. And I said, well, that's something to do.
Happy Christmas! Happy Christmas! Woohoo!
Greetings, holiday shoppers. There are now an unknown number of days left until Christmas, and I think you know what that means. That means it's time for another stocking stuffer edition of Christmas Creeps. This week on the episode, joining me is my lovely host, Joseph Wade. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How you doing, Brad?
Doing well, and I am Bradford, your gracious co-host. This week we are continuing on our path of terror known as anime, and we are looking at a little ditty from 1978. Aired on December 25th, 1978. In fact, it is part of the Lupin the Third Red Jacket series, that is the second series, an episode titled Christmas at Tiffany's.
AKA
Christmas is in the Hands of the Goddess, which is the original unlocalized title.
Right.
So, I foisted upon this, I sprung this upon you with very little warning. How familiar are you with Lupin and his friends, Joe Wade?
Brad, you have been telling me about this for, I feel like, close to 10 years, and this is the first time I've seen any of it.
Have you have not seen the Miyazaki movie that he did of Lupin?
I had not, no.
I might have to give you a Brad education, because it is a delight. That's
Maybe
actually
so.
one of my favorite Miyazaki movies, even if it's not an original Miyazaki property.
Actually, as we're recording this, great minds think alike. Our friends over at the Spool, Clint Worthington, just dropped an entire review of that film, Castle of Cagliostro, and we'll put that in the show notes. I'll let y'all go take a look at that because they're doing Miyazaki month over on the Spool, and so great, like I said, great minds think alike.
Yes, great. So for the uninitiated, For Joe, I will make it very quick and give him the same summary, basically, that I gave him right before I sent him the link to this episode. By the by, if you want to watch this episode, it is available for free on Crunchyroll with ads. So
specifically, the same ad for migraine medication 5 times in a row, which ironically gave me a migraine while watching it. So that's great.
Oops!
But now I know what to do.
And I accidentally left my ad blocker on, so sorry Crunchyroll. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry is more like it. Anyways, Lupin is an international thief, world-renowned, who is constantly being chased by a detective known as Zenigata, who is always trying to catch him. It's sort of a cat and mouse game, and he is often joined on his misadventures. Lupin is often joined on his misadventures by his friends Jigen, who is an alcoholic crack shot, and Goemon, he has Hanzo steel and he's able to cut buildings in a single slice. And that is not an exaggeration. And also sort of his perpetual love interest / frenemy, Fujiko Mine, who is very present in this episode as well. And that is pretty much all you need to know about Lupin the Third. Lupin has been a constant presence in anime since his inception. There have been, I believe, 5 or 6 television series. There was a recent one that just came out. It was pretty good. And also of note, his creator, Monkey Punch, authored by the pseudonym Monkey Punch, just recently passed away within the last month. So,
wow.
Yeah, pour one out.
Dang.
So, a little bit timely, but this is the first Lupin the Third Christmas episode, as we mentioned, aired on Christmas Day. All right. So,
did you say what year this came out? I forget.
78.
78. All right. So,
and does it look it? It is very much like old school anime sensibilities going on in here.
Yeah, this actually is more kind of in tune with sort of the animation that I'm used to watching, mostly because I'm used to watching, or as a kid, we grew up with lots of cartoons from the 80s, and so many of those were farmed out to Asian production studios, like your Ghostbusters, your Thundercats, your Ninja Turtles, all that stuff looks kind of just like Lupin the Third.
Absolutely. And it's great that you mentioned that, because a lot of those shows that we were familiar with kids in the 80s and the 90s, this show has very little in the way of continuity. At least the first 4 series of Lupin the Third are very much episodic in nature, which is why I was comfortable dropping you in at episode 64 of this series.
Yeah, it's not like our last episode where I could have conceivably watched the entire season in 2 hours. This is dropping me into the deep end, as it were.
Yes, but it's a very shallow deep end, as it were, because
well, I wouldn't put it like that, but yeah, you're right. It's very easy to get a handle on.
Yeah, everything's pretty self-contained and tied up pretty nicely in a bow every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're unfamiliar with the structure of Lupin stories, it is pretty much a heist of the week format, and it usually finds Lupin and his buddies, bros being dudes, having to steal something or some MacGuffin, and that's pretty much the plot of most of the episodes. Or sometimes they'll have to do a rescue mission, and Lupin is usually very much seen as sort of this Robin Hood figure, thief with a heart of gold. Also sort of a perv kind of deal.
So in this episode, it's fairly straightforward, actually. Like, Lupin and his gang are hanging out in New York City for Christmas, on their Christmas vacation, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they are approached by the owner of the Tiffany's jewelry store, world famous the Tiffany's. Like, I didn't realize this was going to be the Tiffany's, the New York City. Like, when I was watching this, but like, there it is. But they're approached by Maggie, who owns Tiffany's and is also like a local TV personality, and she wants them to rob the store so that she can broadcast it on live TV on midnight on Christmas Eve.
Yes. She's got a multicam setup, and she's rip-raring to go. And Lupin and Jigen, at least, are staying in this rundown motel on what appears to be the anime 1970s New York equivalent of Skid Row.
The skiddiest of Skid Rows, yeah.
Yes. So she puts them up in, the nicest hotel in New York, and offers them a briefcase full of money, and gives them a blank check and says, if you rob from our store, you can write whatever amount you want on that check. And Lupin's not having it, because you can't control Lupin. He decides when he wants to steal from somebody. So, this immediately puts off Lupin. However, in the process, Tiffany does piss off Fujiko by insulting her quite a lot. And so Fujiko, of course, sets a plan into motion, as she often does, by overspending and then basically roping Lupin into stealing from the store, much to his own chagrin. So he comes up with it. And we also have a slight aside where Lupin and Jigen fly to Panama for the day and encounter Geppo Bee, who is a Panamanian inventor who invented the lightsaber. Yes, and that lightsaber from that Star Wars.
And because he forgot to patent it, he is now a poor a fisherman in Panama.
Yes, but the most plot relevant part of this, I was sincerely hoping, I knew this probably wasn't going to be the case, that was just a one-off, and he wasn't going to show up again in the entire episode, where they're like, oh, we have some footage from a different episode. Well, just throw that in there.
Some other thing going on. Why not?
But no, he does reappear later in the episode. We'll get to that in a moment.
Or rather, he sort of seeds the means of the heist by showing them his other piece of technology.
Yes, which is an electrical fishing rod. It just basically sends out a golden lasso to whatever, and then you reel it back in.
It's like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, but you're using it on fish, and they don't tell you anything.
Yes, and it also comes out of the end of a Tommy gun, or not a Tommy gun, but like
gun.
An AK-47 or a spear gun.
It's like a spear gun that shoots light.
Yep. So that's all very well and good.
That's great.
So Fujiko buys a dog and a Rolls Royce and a bunch of jewelry, and the thing is, she wants to show up Maggie Tiffany after Maggie Tiffany basically suggested that she could be part of, the maid staff or whatever.
Yeah.
So she does so by roping Lupin back into this heist. And Lupin, of course, his main weakness in life is Fujiko. Fujiko is the lady that he can never get, and that makes her infinitely more desirable to him. And Zenigata's there as well, because Zenigata is always there, and he's always wanting to capture Lupin. So Zenigata's in on the whole sort of TV program, but reveals to Lupin that it's kind of hard to steal from this place because there are lasers everywhere and floor sensors everywhere. But of course, like life, Lupin always finds a way.
Absolutely. It kind of made me wonder how much they were being set up here, because to be offered, basically $1 million to steal from somebody who is asking you to steal from them is like that immediately sets off like red flags. Like, all right, what's really going on here?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think the main reason that Lupin rejects it is because it's kind of like a wrestling sort of thing where it's like kayfabe, where it's like, you're going to steal from me, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you're going to return all the jewels afterwards.
Right, yeah.
It's like, well, and then Zenigata's there, so it's like, what's the point? And Jigen says as much at one point where he's like, we're just going to be turned into the cops because of the security. But again, come back around on it, and they get roped back into this heist, and then also Goemon shows up apropos of nothing, which is kind of Goemon's thing. Usually doesn't show up in the first half of the episode, but is always down for a heist. So, I must say, when I was watching this episode, I kept you in mind, and they do a pretty good job of reintroducing all of the characters within 30 seconds of you seeing them by saying their name.
Yeah, I did notice that, but also it didn't help a whole lot because I did not retain hardly any names.
It's okay.
It's more a me problem and less a show problem.
Yes.
I just was not invested in. That sounds bad. I'm not going to say that.
No, it is very much a show. Like, I love the Lupin series, but it is very much like episodes kind of all blend together, and there's not a whole lot of investment because of this sort of heist of the week format. Like. Yeah. Well, they're entertaining, but not particularly memorable.
Right. Well, what I was trying to say was like I knew we were under a time constraint here, so I didn't want to stop the show every 20 seconds to take notes.
It's okay.
It's fine.
I took some notes, so it's all right.
That's cool. You're my guide here. That's what anime is all about. Is Brad leading the show, leading the way?
I am your spirit guide now.
Brad is my Virgil through this descent into the animation underworld.
Drink this. You may vomit. Lay down, and I'll see you in 12 hours. So we have all of our heist formula in place, and Lupin finds out that the subway runs underneath Tiffany's, and this is just as ridiculous as it sounds. So it's told to us in a very fun, sort of clever nod to the. I guess the film 7 Year Itch, the famous scene where Marilyn Monroe's dress goes flying up as she's walking over a grate. Yes, yeah. And say what you want about Lupin, but it is very much like a pastiche of popular culture, even in a single episode. Yeah, we have like Tiffany's, we have Star Wars, we have Marilyn Monroe. It's like it's all there.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I like that.
It's kind of fun. So. Where was I? And of course, with the localizers bringing in the breakfast at Tiffany's tip as well with the localized name. Anyways, they find out the subway is running underneath Tiffany's, and we see them doing some sort of vague setup, and then then comes the night of the heist with some really great jazzy Jingle Bells music or whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't Jingle Bells.
I did find myself really enjoying the music in this episode. It's
Lupin
really good.
Has some great music. Like there's always some great like jazz running in the background. So
very jazzy Christmas music.
Yes. So the heist begins, and they essentially they have a line run to the front of the Tiffany store, down through a grate, where they use a magnet and latch onto a subway car and use the subway car to pull out the face, like the whole bottom half of the Tiffany store, after Goemon has done some Hanzo steel slashes on the exterior of the building.
Which essentially disarmed the alarm system, right?
That's my understanding, yes. Even though there are, and I'm sure this is just 1970s anime reusing shots, but it is notable that when Maggie Tiffany walks into the front of the store after the heist is over, there's still power to the lights in the building. I mean, it's
emergency lights, emergency power system. I don't know.
Painting backgrounds are tough. You can reuse a shot. It's fine.
Point being, once the real meat of the heist kicks into gear, when Lupin and all of his gang have these light guns that they use to break open each of the cases, the jewelry cases, and then steal the jewelry.
You're getting out a little bit ahead of yourself. Well, I guess I did say they pull out the entire bottom floor of the building like a drawer and then are standing on the top of the rest of the building to use these fishing guns. Go ahead, sorry.
But the point being, they use these guns like lasers to break open the glass cases, which then fall on the floor, which do not trigger the alarm system.
Yes, the alarm system, I would think, has been disabled by this point.
Right.
So
that's all. That's
good
all.
Point there.
Yeah, that's all I was getting at.
So Lupin and Fujiko and Geppobi, I have to look at my notes every time I say this character's name, are using these fishing guns to grab all of the jewels out of the Tiffany store. And it's a successful heist. Also, apparently it can be used as a stun gun because Lupin just friggin' lassos up Zenigata and then makes him pass out.
Just blasts him into the back of that car.
Yep. So Zenigata's not a concern anymore. So they steal all the jewels, and Lupin leaves a calling card with him dressed up as Santa that says that the jewels are in the hand of the Statue of Liberty. Notable, we will probably include a screen cap.
That's what the title of the episode means.
Aha! And this is your Japanese lesson for today, but it's especially, it scans because in Japanese, I believe that the Statue of Liberty is actually known as the Goddess of Liberty.
I didn't know that.
I think it's Jiyu no Megami-sama, which just means literally Goddess of Liberty. And it actually, written in English, I think it says on the note card, it says Goddess of Liberty, not Statue of Liberty. So there you have it. The jewels are in the hands of the goddess.
Yep.
Aha.
Yep. So he made good on his I guess the promise to not actually just straight up steal the jewels.
Yes.
Follow the spirit of the heist and leave them to her for later.
And apparently got a big, supposedly got a big fat check.
Let's hope so. Okay.
Because I'm going to feel bad if I use the wrong term.
But that's okay.
Do you know Megami? No, Megami Zol. So it just literally means the statue of the goddess of liberty.
Okay. So the name is the statue of the goddess of liberty.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yep. But the figure on the statue is known as the goddess of liberty.
Right.
There you have it.
We just call her Columbia.
Yes. Or Lady Liberty.
Lady Liberty, that's right. That's the end of the episode. And I figured that the end credits would have something to do with the rest of the episode, and I was wrong.
Oh, what, the beach scene or whatever?
Yeah, just the beach scene. I thought, like, okay, there's going to be one last little button on this episode, and no, not at all. Not a bit.
No, that's just boilerplate 1970s anime closing.
Classic Lupin, huh? All right. That's cool.
Yep. There you go.
I liked what I liked about this episode was how they really did a good job of like making it feel like Christmas in New York City, especially in the 70s and 80s. That's just the cityscape with the snow and everything. That's kind of just what you pick when I picture Christmas in New York City. I always think of like the interstitial cards on Saturday Night Live where they're at Rockefeller Center and it's snowing with all the Christmas trees around. That's always what I imagine as Christmas in New York, and they kind of nailed it here with this one.
How nice.
In this short.
I pretty much only think of Home Alone 2, but that's because Home Alone 2 was a feature of my childhood.
I thought about that with this one too. When I don't remember when Tiffany asks what's her name, if she's staying at the Plaza Hotel.
Yes,
and we never went there, which is a shame.
Wait, is the Plaza Hotel? That's a real hotel in New York.
That's the hotel from Home Alone 2. That's the real hotel.
That's the hotel that she sends them to, like right after they leave the Fleabag motel.
Okay,
it said Plaza Hotel on the front of it. I'm sure it doesn't look like the real Plaza Hotel, but
I might have just looked away. But okay, so that's a good confirmation there.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, we do go to the Plaza Hotel, and that's also where they're setting up for the heist.
Cool.
So, yep.
But then there's that great vista at the end where we actually see the Statue of Liberty, and she has all the jewels draped on top of her. It's a really nice vista.
Yeah, and it's like Christmas garlands too, which I think is kind of what they were going for. It's good. And they're on a Pan Am jet, which is something you don't see anymore anyways either. Yep. So
R.I.P. Pan Am.
Lots of fun little details. Lots of late 1970s details. So
late 70s New York kind of translated through cultural osmosis, because I don't know how much they actually like went to New York to study, the New York cityscape in the 70s for this.
I'm just gonna guess probably not, given the budget constraints, but who knows?
Yeah, because it's one episode in a larger TV show, so they don't necessarily have the time to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that some of the production staff have been there plenty of times at that point, right. But also,
and it's not like there wasn't a wellspring of movies and TV shows that show what New York looks like already. So
exactly, yeah. And also, I believe late 1970s New York was like getting close to like the height of crime. The crime or quote unquote epidemic in New York at that point too. Yeah, which is where you get like.
Sorry.
No, where you get like the drunk dudes on the street and all of that stuff, which they definitely did do.
Yeah, like late 70s New York was when I think of it, I think of like Taxi Driver, where you got like porno theaters in Times Square, and just the streets are like notoriously dangerous, and that's kind of yeah.
They touch on that a little bit with the first hotel, but other than that, it's not really addressed. I mean, it's not really the time or the place.
No, and I get that. I think it's interesting to I just think it's interesting to like note this stuff. I know they have more important things to do than to worry about how well they're depicting New York City in the 70s. But like, I don't know. It's background details that I enjoy, that I appreciate.
No, it's interesting to think about too.
Yeah.
And it's not like they couldn't have included it, because Lupin the Third is notable for having. Sorry, you see it in the preview episode, but there's lots of female presenting nipples in Lupin the Third.
Yeah.
Yep.
Monkey
Punch did love him some female breasts. So, and both nude and non-nude. So that's, if you ever watch Lupin the Third and you're gonna watch it with your kids, maybe screen that episode beforehand, unless you are into that, which is
a judicious use of the fast forward button.
Yes. Yeah, could get a little awkward. Anyways, that's Lupin the Third, Christmas at Tiffany's. Yet again, this did get a terrestrial release, as you might imagine, because Netflix did not exist in 1978.
That's true.
And it is another rare case of a Christmas anime episode. And I think this one was mostly done because there were so many episodes that they could do a Christmas themed one.
Mm-hmm.
And the episodic nature of the story let it fit easily and organically into the series. Joe,
sir,
what did you think about this?
I had a really good time with this episode.
I'm glad.
I enjoyed it a lot. Like I liked, like I mentioned, sort of the way they depict this, New York at Christmas time. I enjoy sort of the setup of the heist and the way the characters kind of play back and forth with each other regarding how the heist is going to go down and things like that. It was a very quick, fun sort of watch, and I appreciate that. And Yeah, I'm gonna have to say you might have piqued my interest with this series, and I might have to watch some more.
It's a tight 22 minutes. It's a good.
It really is.
I would, if you, Joseph, or any of our listeners are interested in starting to watch Lupin, I would suggest the Miyazaki film. Mm-hmm. That is a very good starting place. It kind of starts you from square one, so to speak, on Lupin, and then from there is a deep well of content to go off of. A lot of people regard it depends on who you ask. Many people have strong opinions about which sort of series is the best. Did I mention this is the Red Jacket series? I think I did at the beginning.
You did, yeah. What does that mean?
So there's a fun little fact about the Lupin series is that often they're referred to not by, series 1, series 2, series 3, but what color of jacket Lupin is wearing. And they've done that in sort of, now it's become intentional, but at the beginning, each reboot had Lupin in a different color jacket. And I believe this series 2, the Red Jacket series, is either the longest running or the second longest running series of it. I think this one ran for like 200 something episodes.
Whoa.
There are smaller series. More of the modern series are a bit more svelte when it comes to episode numbers. I thought the most recent series, which actually develops a continuity, was very good. Personally, that may not be a popular opinion, but pretty much anywhere is a good place to start with Lupin. But I would recommend the movie first, and then just basically pick a series that you like the style of, and it's easy to go from there.
Cool. And yeah. I assume a lot of it is available online at one place or another.
Pretty much most of it is available. I'm going to say the lion's share of it is probably available on Crunchyroll. I know that's where I've watched most of it. This is not a paid endorsement, but if they do want to send us free subscriptions, we won't complain. Anyhow, yeah, you can view most of that online in one place or another. So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right. And I guess we can do this real quick. The last metric we always use is, would you put this on at a Christmas party? Yes or no, Brad?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to put on in the background. Like we talked about in the Gretzko episode. If nobody's paying like super close attention to it and I just have like a 5-hour playlist of Christmas specials to have on the TV, yeah, I'd throw this in.
I think so too. Like this is a good. I feel like I'm saying this a lot lately. A good change of pace, like for our typical sort of Christmas special, Christmas episode playlist, the stuff that we usually put on and watch. This is different. This is it goes a little bit of a deeper cut, but a more fun watch, I think. So yeah, this would be a good break in a sea of Adventure Times and whatnot.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, and I'm glad that you're enjoying this little experiment of ours.
I mean, my aversion to this stuff is well documented, and it's, I don't know, I'm having a hard time defending myself against it anymore.
Interesting thought.
But that doesn't, I don't know. Different strokes for different folks, and yeah. I mean, you're not wrong that this is a fun show, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that being said, just as a slight aside on anime, you are not wrong. There is a lot of bad anime out there, like quality-wise and content-wise, that I'm not going to even try to defend. But that's true of all media, if you think about it.
It really is. So
it doesn't make it, any
there's
different
something out there for
else.
everyone.
Yes. So. All right. Well, put that down as a positive response for Lupin the Third.
Brad is slowly building the case against me to use at a later date.
Since this is anime, I'm going to have to do like a Phoenix Wright style cross-examination where I have all of the receipts of you saying anime is not bad. I'm going to break your will down and then build you back up as a new man.
Good Lord.
No, I'm kidding. All right. Well, this has been another stocking stuffer. This is the stopping point of our stocking stuffer. And I want to thank you all for joining us on this little little diversion down a side path here that we do call anime. If you want to get at us, if you want to send us an email or get in contact with us, we are on most social media by searching Christmas Creeps. We also have an email address, and that is christmascreeps@gmail.com, if I'm not mistaken, Joe.
That you are mistaken. It's xmascreeps@gmail.com.
I'll get it one of these days.
Sooner or later.
xmascreeps@gmail.com. We are also available on iTunes and Are we on Spotify?
I actually don't know about that. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher and YouTube and Google Podcasts, whatever that service is called. I know we're on that.
Yes, we're on the Google Play Store. So if you feel strongly about these episodes, if you enjoy what you hear, we would really recommend, or we would really appreciate you leaving a review, even if it's not a glowing review. Or always listening to feedback, and we'd love to hear from you. So
if you want to tell us how much of a classic uninformed millennial we are, by all means, let us know.
Honestly, I kind of enjoy some of the hate mail we receive just as much as like the fan mail that we receive.
It's really fun, mostly to me, because like the people who listen to it and then send us hate mail obviously don't understand what it is we're doing here.
I mean, they like don't understand us. They don't understand our politics. They don't it's full on. It's crazy.
We'll pull back the curtain a little bit and talk shop about the podcast, but like at this point, 5 years into this show, like either you're new to the show and you're into it, or you're new to the show and you're not into it, or you've been with us for a long time and you enjoy the rapport that we've built. And I feel like that's the thing that people come back to this show for, is the rapport between us and our listeners and guests and our take on Christmas. If there's plenty of other Christmas podcasts to go listen to, if you're not into us, there's a ton of others out there.
The thing that gets me is that some of our hate mail that we receive, it's very obvious that they've listened to more than one episode, and it's like, I wonder how many hate listeners we have, and I'm kind of into it. No. We regardless of your reason for listening, we really appreciate it, and we appreciate everybody that has ever interacted with us ever. Like, so humbling to think that people put our voice in their ears, put my voice in their ears, is extremely humbling.
More than once. Like if you're listening to our show on the regular, you're amazing, and I love you.
Yes, more than 5 minutes, because goodness gracious.
Also, I guess I don't know if we want to address this or not. We actually did get feedback from our last full episode, where I just kind of offhandedly asked people to send us their last known geocache coordinates, and somebody did it.
Bless you. That's funny that you made that joke. You know that I geocache, right, Joe?
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
Oh, bless you. I will share my last known geocache coordinates at a time very shortly from now. I'll share it on social, because I don't have it right at the handy.
First of all, I guess I will say the person who emailed us that his name was Charlie. Thank you so much, Charlie. I'm not going to list the coordinates because I don't know if that, like, how much that counts as doxing. Yes. If we say a person's name and then say an actual physical location.
Because if it's a geocache, chances are they probably do not live less than 10 miles from that location. So actually, maybe now I'm double thinking spending my last known geocache coordinates. Most people know that I live in the DC area. It's fine. I'll share them.
And also, like, other podcasts that I listen to that used to do the geocache coordinate, or that used to do like the coordinate thing, they always referred to them as ICBM coordinates. So
which is kind of weird. My last ICBM coordinates are on the toilet in my house. Am I right? Yeah. That's instantaneous coffee bowel movement for the uninitiated. There you have it.
I drop a lot of my ICBMs in the winter.
There you go. When you ice fishing. All right, we have drawn this out way too long.
We've outstayed our welcome, and I apologize. This has been Lupin the Third. Check it out if you want. It's a good time. This has also been Christmas Creeps. I am Joseph Wade.
And I'm Bradford.
Lupin's after that jewel again.
Lupin's after that jewel again.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
happy Christmas. Ba 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 da da. Happy Christmas, you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
We go dumpster diving in the next episode, and instead of the usual old stereo equipment, we find a baby?
Niall and Dwayne from Secret of the Sailor Madness join us for this not-so-silent night in the big city.
It's 3 folks and a baby on the next Christmas Creeps, episode 84, Tokyo Godfathers.